Good day. Welcome to another edition of Ibima Mongo's Perspective on Global Affairs, the X-Review edition. I had to make this X-Review edition because there's been breaking news. The Russians have used Oreshnik for the second time, only the second time, and they have hit in Ukraine with big blows. So this is what is happening now in Ukraine. The Oreshnik is being used in the very far western part of Ukraine. Many people are speculating. They don't really know the target, but they speculating that it's a gas plant, but it may just be a little bit more than that. So let us go deep into it now and start to talk about what is in the X feed today, as we are having this breaking news. So this is the first news here now, and this is the news about the video of the Oreshnik in Lvov. So this is what we have here now. It's quite a formidable presence we're seeing now. We're seeing a very serious attack. This is a very beautiful view. Obviously, whoever it may be from the camera of a particular building also. And we see the Oreshnik here being used. It is in the very far eastern, western part of Ukraine. Lvov is close to the Polish border. It is a very big city there, and it's a hub for most of the logistics, most of the weaponry that is coming into Ukraine from the Western countries. Lvov is very important to Ukraine. It has a center. It is where the Ukrainians feel safe, and it is from there that most European entities, most European policymakers, European politicians come into Ukraine. I think they come into Ukraine from Lvov. Whatever it is that the Russians are attacking there is very significant. We already got a notification from the U.S. Embassy that the Ukrainians are going to, the Russians are going to make a strike. They had already started to put all their strategic bombers in place, and they were getting ready. This attack had been expected for a while now. And I've been thinking, I just made a video of my last video, and I noted how I think the Russians have shifted, they have hardened, and they have now decided that they are going to take this battle in Ukraine, this war in Ukraine, a notch. This attack on the Oreshnik will be the second one now in 2020. In 2024, they've had an Oreshnik attack on a big facility that produces military arms in Dnipropetrovsk. They destroyed that whole facility with this bomb. The Oreshnik, we should know, is like an intercontinental ballistic missile, but it is not a nuclear weapon, even though it has the yield of a nuclear weapon. This is another recording of it again. As you can see, the Oreshnik has six warheads, and these six warheads are hypersonic. They cannot be stopped. There's no weapon system like it in the whole of the West. It cannot be stopped. It's hypersonic. It comes and it has the yield of a small tactical nuclear weapon. So whatever it is they are attacking may be very deep underground. It will be a bunker of some sort. We know that this is a big bunker. So they said probably attempt to hit underground gas storage in the city of Stryyi. The explosion were heard all over the region. That's what this particular account is saying. So going on again, this is new video reportedly showing an Oreshnik attack in Lviv, and it is still the video that we had already seen. It is showing us that the attack is ongoing now. We have the U.S. Embassy and even Zelensky himself had come out recently and said, just yesterday, they put out statements that the Russians were planning a very big attack. This attack they had expected to happen. The U.S. Embassy put out that statement and said that the Ukrainians, the Americans should be very wary about it. In fact, I have that particular statement here. I think I can overlay that statement on on the on this thing here. This is a statement that the Americans had put out, and this statement is said a security alert. The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, January 8th, location Ukraine, all districts. The U.S. Embassy in Kiev has received information concerning the potentially significant air attack that may occur at any time over the next several days. The embassy, as always, recommends U.S. citizens to be prepared to immediately shelter in event of an air alert is announced. Identify shelter locations before any air alert. Download the reliable air alert app to your mobile phone, like air raid siren and air map, alarm map. Immediately take shelter if an air alert is announced. Check local media for breaking news. Be prepared to adjust your plans. Keep reserves of water, food, and medication. Follow the directions of the Ukrainian officials and first responders in the event of an emergency, and review the State Department can and cannot do in a crisis. So this was put out there just today, 8/8, and now we see that finally the Russians are finally taking an attack. I also have a video of President Zelensky actually warning that this attack was going to come. And this is President Zelensky here warning that this attack is obviously being expected to come. He made this attack in his normal nightly meetings, and this is what he said about it.
Є інформація, що сьогодні вночі може бути новий російський масований удар. Дуже важливо звертати увагу на повітряні тривоги сьогодні, завтра, постійно, спускатися в укриття. Росіяни незмінні, вони намагаються скористатися погодою. Я доручив уряду допомагати місцевій владі, максимально допомагати всім, хто задіяний. Разом з прем'єр-міністром України перевірили доповіді з областей. Не всі звіти правдиві. Будуть висновки.
Obviously now the attack has come. It is dominating all of the thread in the X here now, as we can all see. This is the main news of the moment, the attack by the Oreshnik. Everybody had expected that because of the various forms of escalation that has been going on in this war now, the Oreshnik will be used much earlier. But the Russians had made sure that they get this weapon system into serial production before they do it. We know what are the dimensions of the Oreshnik. What are the capabilities of the Oreshnik? The Oreshnik is very, very capable. It can reach, I think it can 1,500 kilometers. And because it's hypersonic, it can reach London from the location where it is usually launched off of in deep inside of Russia. It can reach London in 15 minutes. It has no variant. Nothing can stop it. And now we see that the Oreshnik IRBM strike on low. Video shows MIR warhead, conventional, re-entering the atmosphere at Mach 15. Very formidable, very, very formidable weapon system here now. This video obviously is going to go viral all over the world because this is a very clear demonstration. It mirrors the other image of the Oreshnik that had been got back in December of 2020, I think November also of 2024. And we saw how the Oreshnik then came down in many folds, six unique strikes on the particular weapon depot, that weapon machinery building facility that was in Dnipropetrovsk. So it is the news now. Official confirmation: Russian Ministry of Defense carried out strike using Oreshnik IRBM against targets. So they have already even confirmed it. Awaiting confirmation of the Oreshnik IRBM strike on Lvov, Western Ukraine. No official words from the Ministry of Defense yet. So the Ministry of Defense is yet to state something about it, but this is dominating Kiev tonight. A man walking his dog casually watches Russian drones flying towards their targets. So these drones, the Guarantee drones, have become very formidable, very, very formidable. And at the time, it doesn't make any sense for the Ukrainians to be using Patriot missiles to shoot down these drones. They have tried to now use F-16s. They use anti-drone. They even developed a big anti-drone, Guarantee drone system where they claim they are developing about 15,000 of them every month. But there are particular drones that are targeting the Guarantee drones. These Guarantee drones made up of manufactured in Tatarstan has become the mainstay of this particular war. The Russians now use it, and they raid and destroy a lot of facilities in Ukraine with impunity. This is why we love X. With X, you get a lot of very up-to-date news of what's happening. So Shebos here now is very much Irish journalist, history strategy, facts should define the narrative, living in Russia, Ireland, and the world. He has 261 followers, and he put out this. We get live feed, and we see the Geran-2 flying off of in Kiev. Kiev is in darkness, definitely. Most people have put off their lights. They know what is going on now. But the Kiev has been under attack for a while now. We know their energy systems have been very much compromised. The next story we have here is footage captured the impact on Oral thermal plant in Russia, triggering a blast that damaged the facility and cut power. So this also is another attack by the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians, by no means, we should realize this, they are not out of this fight. They too have developed their own long-range drones, and these long-range drones are hitting the Russians. Mainly, they have been attacking energy facilities like refineries and depots. But this one here on an IPP is a new one. It's not new though. They've attacked Belgorod before, but now we saw that they attacked oil thermal plant in Russia. So let's go to the next story again. Meanwhile, Russians are reporting up to 100 drones are swarming towards Kyiv. So Kyiv is definitely under attack at this time now. This is also the video we just saw recently. We just saw this video here now. They are being attacked. And again, additionally, at least 100 Geran-2 drones are flying in the direction of Kiev. There is high likelihood additional missiles being used, not Oreshnik, KH-101. Clearer footage of the Oreshnik strike. This is also this definitely is the image of the moment. This image is just too clear, but it does not yet. It gives us how we see it. The Oreshnik, we should remember, is the Russian word is hazel. It is the Russian word for hazel. And whoever comes up with this word, you call a very deadly weapon system like this hazel. It's quite frightening. But we see that it does come down in flowery forms. Maybe that's what informed the name. In the midst of all of this peaceful-looking community, you see this very vicious weapon system. This weapon system is very frightening to the Europeans, I should say, because the Russians know that it is nuclear capable. They've used it very sparingly. They had to make sure that it is in serial production. And recently we got to learn that 10 of these units have been sent to Belarus. Lukashenko is very happy about having the Oreshnik, and now we see it being used. Obviously, whatever it is that they are going after must be very high end. I won't be surprised if you ask me. It may be a bunker, it may be a Western intelligence bunker, a CIA bunker. It won't be surprised. I won't be surprised at all if we get to learn that it's also somewhere that is housing intelligence, British intelligence or not, because President Putin and the Russian state have suddenly decided to step up this war. No doubt about it. Russia has launched an alleged Oreshnik missile strike on critical locations in Ukraine. This is what we've been seeing already. And let's go on to this other story here now. A new version of the Russian Grad multiple launch rocket launcher equipped with an armed cabin while operating in Orekov. This is the Russians have been developing so many systems. Already we know that they are very good with their artillery systems. They are 155 millimeter artillery, very, very formidable. But it's just not the fact that that particular weapon is formidable. It's the fact that they produce so much of it. Their output of the artillery is way, way, way ahead of that of the whole of Europe and America combined. They produce so much of it now, but even when they had shortages, they are very assured that they can always get this artillery shells, I should say, from North Korea. North Korea gave them almost 5 million artillery shells in the, that's as it's been alleged and as it's been reported. And the North Koreans are not shy about telling us that they are contributing to the Russian war effort anyway. After all, they contributed human soldiers to the campaign in Kursk. So This weapon system, a new version of the Russian Grad multiple rocket launcher equipped with armored cabin while operating in Orekov. Besides that, we also saw a new one called the Tornado X. That one is like a variant of the HIMARS, and it is also very powerful. It has a longer range than the HIMARS. It has a bigger warhead than the HIMARS, and it is more formidable than the HIMARS. The whole of the industrial complex in Russia has gone into full overdrive. They are really producing a lot. Simplicus, the king thinker, says, are the mortals prepared for what's coming? President Putin had said that we are all going to go to heaven. This war is going to get to a point now. The escalation by the West will mean that some of us might become mortals, and all of them will just, it's threatening to go nuclear as we're seeing it. So I had said in my last video now that something had shifted in President Putin's main in his visit to the Orthodox Church yesterday while he was having Christmas celebrations in the church there. He did look different. There was something about him that was quite telling. Let me just use the word. Another angle again. First video of the Oreshnik strike in the underground gas station facility. Well, if that's the facility they claim, then it simply means that they just want to cripple Ukraine's ability to even get energy. Critical infrastructure. This is from RT, and I guess it will be RT, freedom over censorship, truth over narrative, 3 million. So definitely it may be that it is critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure damaged after a huge strike on Ukraine's Love region. Ukrainian media claiming possible Oreshnik ballistic missile strike. Audio of the blast. So this is the audio. It's very ominous, in fact.
Я в ахуе.
It's very frightening for whoever was recording it. This is the news item that is dominating the whole of the internet, the whole of the space that Twitter gives, because we all know the power of this Oreshnik. Oreshnik, I should point out, is one of the weapons that the Russians have announced in recent times. They've also announced the Poseidon. The Poseidon, that one is the one that is a nuclear drone, nuclear-powered submarine drone that can create tsunamis, very vast tsunamis that will overwhelm cities. They've also given us the Oreshnik, the one that is a nuclear-powered cruise missile that can fly for 14, 15 hours without stop. So we have seen a massive amount of innovation coming off of these Russians because of this war. And even though President Trump has just announced that he's going to have a 1.5 trillion budget for the American military, some of this weaponry that the Russians have already developed are cutting edge, like the one now, the Oreshnik. No, there's no equivalent in the whole of the world. Ukrainian Telegram channels are saying critical infrastructure facility in Lviv region has been attacked. More information will follow. Please stay in shelters. Yes, we're getting to know more. Obviously, it may be a facility like they say, but it may just be a little bit more than that. Like I've already said, it may just not be only this critical infrastructure. We should know that for the Western intelligence agencies, being far away from the reach of the Russians may be something that gives them more confidence. That's why they used to be in Odessa, and they also they have a large presence in Lvov, and the Russians may just be trying to tell them that we can reach you, beyond the fact that they may be destroying some infrastructure anyway. Critical infrastructure again damaged. Ukrainian media awaiting confirmation of Oreshnik. So even though some people have not confirmed that it's Oreshnik, the visuals very clearly show that it is Oreshnik. The Russians have been very sparing in using that Oreshnik, and it is for that reason why there's a lot of confusion as to whether it is the Oreshnik, but no doubt about it. Ukrainian drones have attacked Oriol, multiple explosions have been recorded and Russia air defense was said to be active. It is being reported that Oriol thermal power plant was the target, geolocated at this place. I think we saw this again, but let's see it. So various people recorded it. There was darkness. And now let's see the next video. Same event again. Yes, this is much clearer about the attack, and this is the geolocation of the plant that has been attacked. Citizen journalism is what you get on X. You get much more up-to-date information on X, and that's why it's now the largest platform for news in the whole world. In 150 countries, it is the #1 news platform. Same report again. Reports say Russia just struck Lviv with Oreshnik intermediate range ballistic missile. And some Russians with attitude, something strange is happening in Lvov. Apparently, a series of huge explosions, no prior warning. Some Ukrainian news channels are claiming it is the Oreshnik, but Ukrainian news channels are usually okay. Let's go on to the next one. German military attempt to shoot down unknown drones over the Annaberg air base, but failed. The Germans have to do something about updating their weaponry, because we now see what happened with the vaunted Leopard 1 and Leopard 2. They make us believe that they have all these technologies, but when these weapon systems now face the reality of the Ukrainian battlefield, they just fell short. The Challenger fell short. The Irish T has fallen short from, and now we see German military attempt to shoot down unknown drones over the Annaberg air base, but failed. 3 drones were spotted in December 1st flying over the Annaberg air base in Bondash, where suspects the drones were determining the location of the Arrow 3 anti-aircraft system. But they couldn't shoot it down, obviously. There's been a lot of sighting of drones in the whole of Europe recently. We know all the countries that have said. So Denmark said they were attacked. They've been in Moldova. There's been in Poland. There's been in, and all these drone sightings were attributed to the Russians. But the Russians have said these are not what they are dealing with now. It turned out many of the investigations have found out that they're hobbyists and other people. They have nothing to do with the Russians at all. Most times in all the investigations. This is another view of this event again. It just is what is dominating the whole news cycle on the platform X. Definitely, we are going to get more information about what was attacked and what has been attacked, but we can see that view after view, it is the same thing. Ukrainian monetary channel, Zelensky and U.S. Embassy have all published cryptic statements regarding the possibility of large Russian strike. This is the images I just said recently. I showed this at the very beginning part of the video. And so they did warn. They warned. The American embassy somehow got a notice. We should remember that America has capabilities that are very extensive. The NSA, they have a means of listening on into most of the even the encrypted communications of the Russian state. They are very competent in it, and obviously they were able to warn and get information about the possibility of this attack. Here we have British press is currently boasting that British troops actively assisted Americans in capturing the Russian tanker Marinera, that's actually the new name. This is not a complete name. Also known as Bella 1 in the Atlantic Ocean. Well, the British are simply bursting with pride. Just imagine heavily armed special forces using a multitude of planes, helicopter, ships, boats, committed an act of piracy by seizing an unarmed rusty tanker. What a feat. Well, it turns out that the defense minister, while briefing the parliament, actually stated that there were no British personnel. I think what they gave was no British personnel took part in that particular raid. What they did was that they gave base. It's very important that since the Americans took off from their base in the United Kingdom. They had to ask permission of the United Kingdom authorities regarding that particular flight, and that permission is what was granted to them, and that was the involvement of the Britons in that particular enterprise. So it may just not be as they are making us to believe that they took part in that raid. So I think it was just the fact that they gave support, they gave approval for the Americans to carry on with this particular attack on that ship. So the British involvement was very little and minuscule. Anyway, let's go on to the next story now. Yeah, this has been the main story that has been happening prior to now. The protest that has been going on in Iran for the past few days. Today, we saw big protests in support of the government and protests against the government. Sometimes now, because of the images and the intent and narrative that is being shaped by any particular account, you really don't know who is supporting the government and who is protesting against the government. This has been a season of protests. So there are so many protests going on. In the western part of Iran, this protest is getting strong. Iran, like I said, some of the protests have turned to be riots, and the government is beginning to crack down. They feel that the foreign intelligence agencies are exploiting these demonstrations, but the demonstrations have really, really grown in scope and in number all across many, many cities in Iran. It is a worry for the Iranian government. And I should point out today too, there was supposed to have been a speech by the king of Iran, the crown prince of Iran, Pahlavi, and he was supposed also to have met with President Trump. He was to make a speech, and he's encouraging them to continue with these demonstrations, those who support him, so that they can bring down the government. This demonstration is a big worry to the government in Iran at the same time that they are expecting that Israel may attack. But ironically also, Israel is also facing their own demonstrations at the same time. Yes, today, these are the images we got of Dnipropetrovsk. The Russians had earlier bombed Dnipropetrovsk, and this is how Dnipropetrovsk was left in darkness. They are taking out all the the energy infrastructure, all the power plants in Dnipropetrovsk. Russian army, multiple years. We had already seen this one already, so we'll just move on again. And then intense battle broke out in Aleppo. This one here is between the Turkish supporters and the Syrian supporters and the Kurdish supporters. I think it's between the Kurds and the Syrian army, and it was really, really an intense one. It has caused a lot of worry. The Turks are worried about it. The Americans have put out a statement. Tom Barrack, the special envoy for that region, or President Trump's envoy for the Middle Eastern region of Lebanon and Syria, obviously put out a statement today. The intense battle just broke out in Aleppo. Syrian army just launched a massive attack on Kurdish-led SDF forces in the northern part of the city. So this is it. The Syria issue is a worry to America. It's a worry to Saudi Arabia. In fact, the Saudi Arabian head of finance ministry was just to meet with Marco Rubio the other day to discuss these issues of the Saudi Arabia and Syria, and they're trying to find a solution to it. Danish politicians are calling for government to for German and French troops in Greenland to deter the US. Conservative MP Ramos Jalov said that it will be wise to welcome allies so that the price of military invasion for the Americans will be extremely... Well, I can tell you one thing. If the Americans want to take them out, there's nothing any of these people can do about it. They have a very puny military. all the military weaponry of note in that whole of Europe is owned by the Americans under the framework of NATO. All the significant military bases owned by the Americans. And I think the kind of accommodation that the people of Greenland may just have to find, and the Danish government will just have to find, will be that they will have to come to a financial agreement. Whatever price they call, the Americans will be willing to pay for it. After all, that's a place where they can always raise money in the form of bonds and all. If American money goes into Greenland, one thing I know is that they can develop Greenland and make it an economically viable place. However, they're going to do that. Beyond the fact that they want it for national security, they will create an economic viability for Greenland if they have to. Well, Macron backpedals hard. France votes no on EU-Mercosur deal. Macron just flipped the script, announcing France will not vote against the EU's trade pact with he said they will vote against the EU's plan trade pact with Mercosur. He is bound to massive farmer protests over cheap imports, tanking local agriculture. Yeah, today the whole of France was just full of tractors. Farmers were protesting. They protested in Belgium, and they've been protesting against this Mercosur deal. We know that the Mercosur, the South American and Latin American countries, they're very, very productive. Brazil, Argentina, and all those countries, they have very big agricultural sectors, and a free trade zone allowing the agricultural goods into Europe will just kill the little farming that is still going on in these countries. And they've been protesting. They protested a lot today. Today, a lot of these farmers were all over France. They were in Paris. They were also in Germany. They were protesting in Britain. They were protesting everywhere. And this may just be the final outcome that Macron has decided. France has decided to vote against signing the agreement between European Union and Mercosur. I think he will be joining the Italians. The Italians are already taking this position even before now. Anyway, this should be where I will end the video for today. This video was an add-on to the fact that there's breaking news. The Oreshnik has been used for a second time. And even though we are still here to get more details about it, we will get more clarity over time. Like I said, I think that it was not just an infrastructure. It may just have been command centers that may have been attacked, bunkers that are very deep under the ground in Lvov. Anyway, this is where I end my video for today. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you have any views regarding the new opinions I just expressed, please put them in the comment section. Do well to like and share. Until my next video, you have a good day.